it's more instinctual. You know, things like, okay, when are we trying to win the game? What's my role in this game? Because that dictates how much am I rotating? Am I shoving lanes? Am I looking to make plays? Am I farming the jungle? Who is doing what? But when you're this new stack, you've got to communicate all this as it's happening in real time. Naturally, you're going to be more delayed. Your moves are going to be slower.
Yep.
Against a team like Gambit, and in a game like Dota, 2 to 3 seconds changes everything.
Yeah, we're being kind of harsh on Bait, but by this point we've seen a lot of
You're being kind of harsh on Bait. What?
Well, I'm
Throw me under the bus.
moving you in.
Don't worry, I've been on the panel like the whole time. We've been kind of harsh for Bait.
But I think the reason is we've seen a lot of them this tournament. With the format, we've seen them lose 3 series already.
Yeah.
This is... Potentially they could get eliminated here, but they would have lost 4 separate series. So other than the best of 3 they won against Infamous, this is not a team who's won games at this tournament. And we've seen a lot of the problems that have led to them losing these games. They're not playing cohesively. They have individual players sometimes running around, making questionable plays. Their drafts have sometimes been a bit lackluster. So they're a new team. I mean, there's reasons for all of this. They are very likely to improve, but right now they are not up to par with the likes of Gambit, VP, Secret, Enigma.
And I will say, I like a hero like Snapfire to start it off, because this is most likely going to be your 5, and think about how much more game impact LeBron's going to be able to have on a hero like Snapfire instead of Witch Doctor. You've got a stun that also affects like positioning, so it can be used as a save. Your ultimate does ridiculous amounts of damage. You're a very good laner, and you've kill potential. I think that's key. I want Bait to be able to find kills without requiring a specific 1 or 2 heroes to be there for a play to actually be able to happen. What's that? An AA clock immediately into the Snapfire. That's a hell of a combination. Like that from Gambit. Clock a little open, could be 3, could be 4. And I know that FNG does love that AA. Also effectively says, no, you cannot pick Morphling. You cannot pick Troll. You cannot pick Timbersaw. Good luck.
I mean, the clock pick coming up this early is definitely interesting, and if anything, it feels almost a bit experimental in ways, because this has not been a go-to opener so far this tournament for Gambit, and also just not considered an amazing hero. Look at that Void.
Yeah, and can't you Cookie out of the cogs?
Sure. Yeah, you can. I don't see why that wouldn't.
Why not?
Yeah, it's definitely curious. I think Clock's one of those heroes that it feels like it's either really strong or absolutely terrible. And I think the big marker of that is how many cores can you actually kill. A hero like Void is very frustrating to deal with, because you really just have no window to actually find that kill unless you're saving Hook for the leap away. And even then, what if you were just to chrono and hit your cogs and walk away?
Yeah, I think the one painfully obvious reason they're picking is just to cancel the Snapfire ultimate. You've got this. You can find it with the Rocket Flare, hook shot, boom. You don't have to worry about the kisses as much.
And like Mortimer's kisses have such an incredibly long range. Like, it's the only hero that can do that, right? Is there any? Would there be any other one?
No, not really. Like Shaker Fissure is not long enough. Like nobody just can get on top of a Snapfire and cancel it the way a clock could. I guess Silencer, Global Silence. Does that work?
It does. It does interrupt the channeling. And Kyle, you want it easy to execute. Like, it's pretty straightforward. Like, we know what they want to do with this combo. It's chrono into kisses.
Yeah, it's just easier. I mean, it comes down to what's in your kit, and it's just so much simpler to play Dota 2. You look at that Enigma lineup when they had GH on the Tiny, right? How simple it was. There was a formulaic approach to how they were going to break high ground. Everyone knew their responsibility, and they executed. If you have any sort of confusion, there's this concept, you'd rather follow one shitty plan than 2 incredible ones. And it's important to understand as 5, okay, what are we going to do, like, as a unit to win this game?
I'd rather follow the 2 amazing plans.
Yeah.
No, you get caught in the middle, and you're not following any plan.
Maybe you should say 2. Maybe you should say 3 or 5 or something.
You should say 1 average plan.
Sure.
If you say it's a shitty plan, you don't want to follow a shitty plan ever.
All right, well,
I think you need to rework
it's
this.
more of a basic thing. Like, if half your team is going for Throne and the other half hits the tier 3 for another 10 seconds,
I agree with
you're screwed. Whereas if you had just picked one, you probably would have won the game.
Yes.
I've been in a few situations where I lived through that. Man, we don't have to go into the past. Let's focus on the present. What's that ban? Is that
That's an Abaddon ban on the side of Gambit, and a Naga and a Timber ban on the side of Bait. We're waiting for the final ban of Gambit. They have, of course, the ban into pick.
Yep.
May be looking at some of those saves against Chronosphere. OD always one of the popular ones. They can't get it out of a 5 position with the A already picked up, so...
Yep. You have Wyvern in the pool as a possibility. I think it's more likely they just go for an offlaner here, something like a Centaur. Just a strong matchup against the Void with kill potential threatened later on. And there's always two ways to deal with Chronosphere. You already have your AA clocked. Let's assume that's the support duo. So you're not going to be able to save anyone within the Chrono. So you need to make sure that the cores that are caught within are going to be able to survive the full duration.
Yeah, let's see what they go for next. Because we got the beautiful AR back on our screen.
It's so good. I'm like staring directly at the picks at the bottom. I'm like, oh, why did they take it away? We're watching the draft. And then I'm like, oh, I look up. I'm like, oh, this is way better.
Yeah.
Now I get why they're doing this. My brain is just so used to looking at that draft screen.
Yes. The only thing you don't see are the bans, but that's why we switch back and forth. Yeah. So we catch everything.
These heroes look beautiful. It makes you really appreciate the game design and character design of the game when you see them come to life like this.
High resolution, Tiny coming in.
Oh, are they going IO Tiny?
It's certainly a possibility.
But then you have to put your clock as a core, and do you really want to do that?
Well, either way, it's a nice pick here, right? You're going up against Void. You talk about heroes good against him. You live through the Chrono, no problem, with all that plus armor from the ultimate, and your combo is a huge threat throughout the game. You don't really like going toe-to-toe with Core Tiny as a faceless any longer. And it just kind of fits the mold of what you're looking for if you're going to have to put yourself in a position to just live through that Chrono. It's very similar to how people used to think and conceptualize playing against Batrider. It's either you have a cleanse for the lasso, or you have heroes that ask to be lassoed. You can't really win games without one of those options.
So far, Bait has not played Snapfire yet. We've seen Snapfire mostly as position 5, but there's teams that put it position 4. There's even been Nigma that play it as position 3 sometimes. As what would you prefer to see Snapfire, and if it is a 5, which offlaner could they be aggressive with? And or if it's a 5, I mean, I guess they're gonna lane with Void, in which case we've got our answer there. Like, are there any extra lanes that could be position 4? Because I don't mind King R playing Snapfire. I think he could get a lot done.
Yeah, it's a very strong dual lane in the off lane with a lot of like aggressive 3s, like your Sladas, your Centaurs. But I think the hero, you get the same out of the hero whether it's a 5 or a 4. So that's where I think most teams are playing as a 5.
Fair.
In the 4, it's just a very strong laner as a 4 is kind of where you can excel there.
Look at that smile. Just a happy dragon. Dog.
I'd be happy too if my skills did as much.
Lizard. Toad. What is it? Is it a toad?
It's a, no clue.
It walks like a toad. But no wings.
No, it's a snapdragon.
I thought all dragons had wings.
No, it's a lizard.
You just said it was a dragon.
Yeah, it's a snapdragon. It's a type of lizard.
Okay. But it walks like a toad. It's a willow. Position 4 coming out.
There's, King R's hero.
Wait, is there anything? Is there such a thing as a snapdragon? No, apparently not.
I am glad you looked that up so that I don't have to point out you're wrong. Again.
Ricky Maru. Or just Ricky. Or Dota 2.
Just Ricky. It is actually, it has been Gambit that have played it like quite a bit. Yeah, we have Dream played quite a lot. Actually, Bait lost to this yesterday as well.
Yeah, with his Slada.
No, it was just Dream's Ricky. I think.
I like Ricky. This hero's look good in this tournament.
It's also very, very good against the Void and the Willow.
Yeah. I mean, if you have any stun, put a smoke on top, you can do a lot of damage.
All right, what role do you want to secure if you are Bait right here? It looks like they want to secure their off lane. Legion Commander.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Giving a save as well.
I like that it's fast-paced too, because you have this long cooldown with Chronosphere. You don't want to go for too many big ultimates.
It allows for the LC pick too, right? Because you have that huge AoE team fight, now you also have that single target pick off. And it's one of Ghostic's best heroes, very good against the Riki because you have so much lockdown, and you force him to attack you in the front instead of being able to backstab.
That means that for Bait, we are looking for a Dendi hero. We're looking for a mid laner. We already have his Mars removed, but it does mean that perhaps he's going to be the one on that playmaker that we want him to be on, right? They can set Dendi up for absolute success. First pick is, as in last pick, is going the way of Gambit, like overall last pick.
Yeah,
So they can't set him up for ultimate success, I guess?
Yeah, you just have to pick a stable mid that doesn't have too many hard counters because you're worried about the counter pick. So we may just see some kind of Dandy SF, Dandy Lina, Dandy Puck is obviously being one of his
It
go-tos
needs to be
this tournament.
something that buys the BKB. That's the key here
so?
up against an AA Tiny.
Dire team ban.
I want some damage in the chrono too. So mixed damage core, probably ideal. I wouldn't mind Dendi Quap or Puck. I think if you had a Puck game, this could be it. You also probably want a 4-staff hero for sure if you're going to go the intelligence route. You're playing against Riki Clock. It's necessary.
Yep. Could be like a OD game. That's a 4-staff buyer. Can dump some damage into the chronosphere. But not 100% sold on that being perfect for this game.
Dire team pick.
Queen of Pain is the final ban coming out for Gambit.
Yep.
Kunkka they're banned as well. Let's see what our mid matchup is going to be.
My money's just on the Puck. I think just sticking with your comfort hero seems to be Baited's approach generally. Like that's why we see Dandy keep going back for the Mars.
And it's so good with Willow.
Oh, yeah.
So good.
Oh.
Just fear on top of the coil. They all run out of it. It's incredible.
5 seconds remaining.
We will see.
Radiant
Indeed
team
we will.
pick.
That's a Viper right there.
All right, different route.
Yeah.
I like that, though. Against the Tiny, you should have a nice matchup. And it's a different concept where it goes back to that idea of ensuring you have at least one durable core. LC Void are more mobility evasive based, whereas a Viper now, you can buy a 4-staff, importantly. You want to have a core that could do that. And you're not as threatened by like the AA Clock combo, the Riki combo. You can actually be that frontliner that it feels like in a lot of these drafts Baited have been missing. And it is one of Dendy's better heroes.
Yep. Let's see what they are going to play against it. What does well against the Viper? An FN hero. Unless he's going to play the Tiny.
I wouldn't be surprised to see a Magnus here. It could be a Tiny mid.
Could be an SF. I think SF. The new Viper doesn't do as well against SF as the hero used to do.
I think it's the same concept where you want something more more durable. Mixed damage. I could see like a sniper come out too, but I think that's the way to go. I like that. Very good against the Viper. You just spam Snake on the hero and he runs out of mana, and then you outlast it because you have more damage. You're also going to be able to farm more per minute throughout the jungle. So effectively, the longer the game goes for Baited, the worse spot they're in. They're the ones with the onus to make things happen throughout this entire game.
I like they got this farming core because I don't like this Riki Battle Fury approach at all. I think you need to play this hero actively. I mean, even if you go Diffusal into the Battle Fury, that phase where you're trying to farm up the Battle Fury and then it's like, okay, you got the Battle Fury, so you got to keep farming.
Yep.
Not how this hero should be played, so it allows this Riki to basically be more of that 2 position in terms of farm priority, even if it is going to be played in the safe lane.
Yeah, I really like it, because it's, again, you don't have save for the chrono, right? So you now have a Dusa that's going to happily just hit the tier 3. Sieging base now makes sense, because you have this hero that you can position around, much like we saw Enigma do in that previous series. You, however, are facing a pretty formidable team fight lineup.
That is scary.
I almost said Na'Vi, but Baited. They have a ton of damage output on all of these heroes. A lot of active abilities that have high DPS. They can hunt, find solo kills. They can make big team fights happen. So I actually think that their draft has the answers here. This is the most even I've seen them all day today.
Okay, this is the best shot Bait has had today, as in their in the playoffs, Gods. You agree?
Yeah, I like that. I actually would prefer their draft, kind of. I wouldn't maybe go so far to say I think they're going to win this game. It should be good. It should be close. But Gambit, I mean, their execution for the most part has just been flawless. So I'd still give Gambit the edge.
All right. Let's find out what's going to happen. If we are going to have a third game to the series, or if Beige will make their exit here. Let's see what's going to happen with Cap and Lizard.
There's a lot of haters online, and there's a lot of fans in the stadium, both looking at Bait to see what happens in this Game 2. Are we finally going to be able to see a Game 3? It seems our panel, anyway, feels like this is the best chance that Bait has for that.
I kind of have to agree with them.
Yeah.
Like, watching that first game and watching the series from Bait and Gambit, you can't not favor Gambit.
Yeah.
However, at the same time, you have Ricky Medusa on your team. Those supports are going to be like super exhausted carrying them through that early to mid game, because these heroes, they don't do anything early on, and if Ricky doesn't have a good laning stage, which usually he does not, who's going to be that playmaker on their side?
And they've got an Ancient Apparition too.
Yeah.
So it's Clockwork and Tiny. We're gonna have to put in overtime to be able to make that sort of 15 to 20 minute mark look okay for them, and not just get run over.
On the brighter side, you do have some catch plus A ult. You have Clockwork, right? You have Tiny. There's some upsides, but then again, it's not even the best clock game. You're playing versus Void, he can just jump out. You're playing versus Dark Willow, who realms away, and you're playing versus Snapfire, who cookies people away, you know?
Yes.
So there's multiple spells to get rid of that Clockwork, even without a Force Staff.
Yeah, I would not be super excited playing Clockwork in this game. Nice toss there from Vampire.
And the box.
They can get enough body blocking here to actually bring down Ghost. I kind of doubt it. He does level up his Q. He's given a cookie as well, so that amount of mobility will allow him to survive.
But
he's actually blocked up by LeBron a little bit. If they can get another toss, they have a toss actually coming up. He's going to toss the Riki onto Ghostic. Ghostic hits him with the backstab, and what was that? I thought he was home free.
Well, LeBron gave him a cookie, and then he was like baited.
Well, that is going to be your first blood for Gambit. Bait do manage to get 3 different bounty runes, though. So, where do you lie on that, Lizard? Are you a fan of, would you rather take the 3 bounties or the first blood?
Depends on what hero gets that first blood. I think if you give that first blood to a hero such as Ricky, it can be very valuable. He gets multiple raid bans, and suddenly he's actually very strong.
Another toss back, but this time Ghostic actually wants to be able to fight. He hits him with the nuke. The cookie is going to land him right on top of FNG, and that'll be enough to get the kill. Now the question is whether or not Ghostic can get out, and of course he will, because Dream, he doesn't want to trade that much anyway, and then on top of that, he's got a creep wave to try and kill, so...
All right, so we will have a tri-lane on tri-lane action here, it seems like, at least unless AA rotates away. On this top lane, Shachlo versus Void Spirit, I don't think Void Spirit is ever truly threatened on that lane.
No.
Clockwork, he can do fine, but he can't really pressure the Void.
Well, Kyle said this matchup actually really good for the Medusa, and I think he's right. Eventually, the Mystic Snake will allow you to be able to beat the Viper, but initially, Dendi really taking it to FN while he doesn't have that mana shield up just yet.
Dream dropping super low here. One of the reasons why this hero is such a weak laner, like 660 HP, you get on top of him and you can blow him up. They have enough control on this bottom lane, definitely, to do so.
Yeah, it feels like the Rikis that were always being picked up, they got the luxury of just very passive off lanes, not a whole lot of pressure, but B8, they just started off with a tri-lane. They still have a very aggressive dual lane in both Legion Commander and Dark Willow.
They did give him a first blood as well. So this Riki started off with a blast. Also, he's farming 7 CS right now. He's doing all right.
King Arn tossed over, but does pick up his level 2, so he could just as easily level up Shadow Realm and be fine. These tosses are I think, going to... I don't think he really has much of an opening anymore unless Ghostic is, like, quite low. But if he's, like, high HP, ooh, FN in the mid lane, once again, Dendi really taking it to him, just burning out his mana pool at this point in time to try and pressure that Medusa into dying. Nice body blocking here, trying to catch King R. The Shadow Realm fades away. They're still going to try and go for the kill. The toss doesn't actually land on a King R, but they still, with the creep and the Blink Strike, Dream is able to get the kill.
A lot of mobility since Ricky has been reworked early on, and they put that into use there. Not many times do I agree with Kyle when it comes to some of his calls about the lanes, and this lane might not go great for FN, but he can go into the jungle and recover, so I still don't agree with Kyle.
Well, Kyle is, he finds a way of being wrong, you know?
It's a talent.
It's a true talent, for sure.
That's a nice attempt of stacking it, but a bit too late.
Vampire also there. Could have actually blocked up the camp. He's going to be able to hit the avalanche, toss back onto the Viper, and this will turn the fate of the mid lane. Dendi being ganked up by both supports.
And this is the moment in which Kyle runs up here, you know, and just back.
Meanwhile, top lane, Shachlo has actually done really well in CS. He was tied up with the Void until all of a sudden, old Cookie Grandma shows up, and Shachlo, that's a lot of damage, man.
Can they get him?
The slows and the Cookie, Shachlo will actually barely limp away, but he doesn't have a healing salve, so he's probably just going to have to either go back to base or, oh, tempted a cookie, another kill, but Shachlo does manage to dodge that creep push forward.
Good juke from him, also pretty good attempt by LeBron. I didn't see that one coming. He attempted that stun into his first spell. Sadly, it doesn't really work out, and sadly for him, but
I just didn't expect
happy.
the cooldown to be up so quickly, man. That thing just, the cookie does not have a very long cooldown. It just feels like you can always get off 2 or 3 of them in a fight.
One of the reasons why that hero is so scary in the laning stage. Slows your attack, slows you, has such a massive strength game, being a strength hero as well.
The mana cost, both the cooldowns and mana cost are not prohibitive enough that you can kind of always fight into the enemy. King R. He finds a courier on its way back. It's actually Dream's courier, so pretty decent one to kill. Dream, though, thanks to all his Wraith Bands, is significantly tankier and much harder to kill. He's going to jump on a King R here. The Avalanche comes out, but fortunately the Shadow Realm protects him, and he will actually turn that damage on a Vampire, who runs into a Brambles and finished off by the nuke of Ghostic. And Dream, who tried to do the same to King R, wasn't able to get that kill, and is forced to jump away from this Legion commander.
I think this lane started the best way it could for Gambit. With that first blood on Ricky, I told you that on some heroes that first blood is really valuable, and he put it to good use. Those 2 raid bands allow him to be a little bit more aggressive on squishy heroes such as Dark Willow.
Shachlo making a little play around the world. Around the world. He goes, Cookie is going to slow him down, but he's just trying to pull creeps where he can because this dual lane is kind of dangerous. All he wants is level 6, and we'll see him rotate around and try and make space for some greedy cores in both the Medusa and the Riki. We were talking about it during the draft phase. It feels like if Dream has a good lane, and he could absolutely dominate this game. It's a very scary early Diffusal Blade Riki game for sure.
I think it's a really good Diffusal game too. I would disagree with that Battle Fury build, especially when you have a Medusa with you.
Oh yeah, please. None of that. Dandy once again tossed into the tier 1 tower in mid from another 2-man support game.
And they tip him, and I would as well, because when you're playing with a Viper, with a hero that's as static as a Viper, or that Dragonite, that they played around Dragonite really well. They rotate around him, they pressure that Queen of Pain. But in this game, they're not doing the same around his Viper. If he's winning his lane, you should help him continuously push into it and continuously pressure this Medusa. But he tries to do it alone, and because of that, he just gets ganked.
Yeah, it's like one of the downsides of having very strong side lane dual lanes like this is that the supports just don't want to rotate out.
Yep.
You know, Dark Willow's like, I really want to stay with my Legion commander. We're kind of controlling the lane against a Riki really nicely. You could see Ghostic being the big beneficiary of that is actually 350 gold net worth up on the Riki right now. So it's his presence is paying off, but it's also losing Dendy his part of the game.
It's always like that. You have to decide where you put your pressure. It can't be on all 3 lanes at the same time. Some of the lanes you have to lose.
Yeah, and anytime somebody's left solo, Gambit is always there to be able to punish, and this time it's Ghostic in the bottom lane, tries to go for the courier kill, and both of the couriers survive.
He tried, he hit, and they're the same. They're right next to each other, so he right-clicks 2 different couriers, and they survive. This is a difficult kill. They have damage.
They're going to try for it here with PO joining them, slowing him down with the time dilation. Looks like they should be able to get especially with a lucky bash.
With PO being there, definitely. They didn't even have to commit the chrono. There's a tier 1 nearby, but no one wanted to TP and save the Clockwork. I've seen this build on Clockwork so many times now. They just don't build boots or anything. Just go for bracers, man. 4 bracers, Clockwork is the meta.
Yeah, stat up. And considering the amount of time that you're able to stay on top of somebody, thanks to Battery Salt, your physical damage being amped up is really nice. And Clockwork has long been part of his problem, right? Is especially as a core, you go in, you just die to trade out for a kill. Well,
unless you buy Aghanims right now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
What are your thoughts? Like, how do you feel about Aghs?
You know, I never would have considered Refresher good on a Clockwork before, but it's not the most terrible thing. It just bothers me that you stun yourself.
Yeah, that stun is quite bad. Well, what I really like about it is it gives you multiple disables when you get on top of a target. Like,
Yeah.
you have this long-range disable early on, but your teammates struggle to follow up. Now, if you can refresh it and do it once again,
I'm not sure why they're leaving Ghostic alone in this bottom lane. Like, Riki is a very dangerous hero if he has the numbers advantage, because he just outputs so much damage. So if you have to run away from him, then he's just going to do so much. Right? Legion Commander's the opposite. She wants to turn and fight at all times, but she can't fight against superior numbers like this.
You have to ask yourself, what are they doing on these other lanes that's significant enough for them to leave that Legion to suffer on the bottom lane?
Yeah.
And I would argue so far, besides killing that Clockwork on the top lane, they haven't done enough to justify it.
No, certainly not. I mean, at this point in time, Pio, he could just go jungle it up. They dropped an Iron Talon, and he's got double gloves. Like, they don't really need to be in that top lane too much.
They don't need to support him at all.
Yeah.
Like, at all. He can lane versus anyone that comes on that top lane, and also he cannot die. He literally shouldn't be dying in this game unless he does something super stupid.
So once, Ghostic was actually quite ahead of Dream. Now, he may just die again, but this time, it's actually a bait. This time, bait is actually set up for it, but it looks like Gambit may have gotten the read for it. They smoked all the way down to this bottom lane. Vampire thought about wrapping around and going for the toss, but...
Man, they've been AFK forever. Clockwork even took the top outpost on his own. No one contested him taking that outpost, so... They understand, yo guys, something's happening. Like, they're not farming, they're not on the lanes.
Well, it looks like Vampire is still going to get caught here, but the important carry of Riki is still going to survive through this gank, and I'm not sure how much pressure Bait's going to be able to put on that tower. Dream's already on the other side of the map.
And Kiev loves Bait. Every time they get any kills, any good moves, there's an applause.
I mean, at this point in time, I'm kind of cheering for him too, just because I want to see at least one win from Bait here in Kiev. It looks like they will be able to find Ghostic here. Gambit quickly killing him as he kind of treaded off alone into the jungle and was found by Clockwork. I don't know, man, Lizard, these moves just, they're so awkward.
Yeah. For Bait, it looks much more difficult to make any moves without committing big ultimates. And for those big ultimates, Chrono is not enough. I believe they need Snapfire. They need LeBron to get that level 6 as soon as possible.
Yeah, this is not a time to be too sacrificial. Looks like the chain stun onto the Void, not quite enough. Plus the Terrorize going in is going to be able to control up the Clockwork a bit. He's going to get stunned. They do have the Bedlam doing some decent amount of damage. It looks like he will end up falling here. The ultimate comes out from the Ancient Apparition. That's enough to turn around and get a kill onto King R. But
Gambit, they go in, they fail their spells, they fail their attempt to kill Void, and they still make a decent trade. Not great for them, but...
Well, especially as they're able to get another exit kill, this time onto LeBron, but the duel comes out on Exodus Vampire, and maybe it's not a duel that they can win, but they'll probably get the kill, and they do.
Yeah, that's a little bit better for Bait. Things are starting to move, at least, but, you know, Medusa isn't moving. She's just farming away. Same goes for Riki.
Pio can't get too far away from the Riki. That's why he has to turn around, and Chronosphere goes for the kill on FNG. Might be able to get it. In fact, he does, but can he actually get out? With the help of Ghostic, he certainly can. Press the attack, removes the cold feet that was on him, and allows him to feel healthy enough that he doesn't have to run away from the Riki.
Yeah, Shashlo is there, but he's thinking about it, but AA is dead. He doesn't have the follow-up, so most likely he won't be going for this hook, at least not until AA is up.
9-7, a slight lead for Bait.
I don't know, man. Like, the panel, they talked about Viper's problems, and so far, they've been obvious. He's had a decent laning stage, but after that, he's so static. He hasn't moved from that mid lane. He's waiting for his Force Staff, but will that be too late? Medusa is farming away. You need to start pressuring them. You need to start taking map objectives, map control.
Definitely feels like Gambit just kind of outplayed Bait in the laning phase, where like they should have lost the laning phase, but so many successful rotations from these two supports allowed them to basically walk away even.
Completely agree with you. On that bottom lane, first and foremost, they brought forces, which was so important. They had 3 heroes there multiple times in a row to take down Legion Commander, and every time Legion Commander was left alone, they would kill her. And the same goes for Viper mid. He was dominating the Medusa, the FN Medusa, but it wasn't enough because every single rotation on him worked.
Smoke up. They see Ghost Stick, and they also see the Nether Toxin on the ground. So they know 2 cores are here farming. So they opt out of this fight. Move back towards that safe lane. I'm a little bit surprised they didn't try and stick around there and take the engagement maybe halfway through the Ancient stack. Or at least somebody just sit up there and soak some experience, something.
It's a little bit difficult there to move on to the high ground, but on Void...
Go for Bio, trying to burst him down real quick. Pushed out of the smoke screen, not quite. They do manage to get that kill, and that's a dominating streak for Dream, which pretty much finishes up his Diffuser Blade, by the way. And we, again, mentioned how scary that is early on.
And they got the best kill they could, the Void kill. Like that's the hero that you want to be killing right now.
Yep.
And there was even one mistake from Shashlo there. You noticed it. He pushed him away. I think just keeping him in the cogs is probably much better because there's smoke on top of you, but they still
Force
get
that forward and a cookie to be able to get away from the toss that was threatened by Excess Vampire.
Gambit is in complete control. Something has to change if Bait wants to take this game. They need to start making rotations. Their supports have not used their ultimates yet. I have seen maybe one Terrorize. Snapfire has not used his ulti.
It always feels like this is just kind of constant. They're going to get a pick off on King R here, as well as a kill on to Old Granny. And Bait are just kind of left, sand in their hands, drifting through their fingers, trying to catch something, anything. They do manage to grab Dream here, but can they actually kill him fast enough? He managed to get off the Cloak and Dagger, survives, Ghost Stick very low. Dream jumps to the low ground with the Blink Strike and will not survive, actually. The poison damage is good enough. Excess Vampire with TP away, spotted by Pio, but not fast enough to be able to get a hit in.
That was a great kill for them. They killed that playmaker Ricky. It's super important. At the same time, they used all 3 cores to get that. So Medusa is still out-firing them quite heavily. You can see that net worth is already, she's around 2K ahead.
It's so weird to me that like BGH just never seemed to be able to take the initiation on a fight, failing some like big smoke gank like this, but when they do smoke up, they oftentimes are left with a kill that's not that valuable.
It's pretty much FNG. Yeah.
All the time. Well, at least that kill will turn into them controlling this mid area, taking down the mid tower. Very important.
They're taking mid at the same time. Gambit, they're farming away on top lane with Tiny. Maybe they'll
Ghost
fight.
Stick starts backing up. They do have LeBron in the back line. Shotzo, quick little play there. He cogged himself in and then realized he didn't have the time to get out of those cogs, so he hook-shotted outside of the cogs to be able to get away from the Snapfire ult.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Snapfire ult right now has a much longer cooldown, I believe, as well. Yeah, Clockwork's ulti has been reworked a little bit, so you don't need that axe for the cooldown reduction anymore. And you're free to use it, to spend it a little bit more freely.
Yeah, especially as a core Clockwork. Once you get into those later levels, level 2 and level 3 significantly.
It's like 30 seconds, right?
Yeah, it goes, I think it goes from like 70, like 50, 30 or something like that. It decreased the cooldown pretty significantly.
60, 45, 30. Yeah, close enough. 30 seconds on that last level just feels ridiculously good.
Yeah. 12-9, a slight lead for Gambit right now.
I love the build, by the way, on Void. You can see a lot of Twitch chatters flaming the gloves, 2 gloves, Y, and power treads. But right now, they're the most valuable item for your bucks. Like, you pay 400 gold for 20 attack speed. So if you get 3, you have, what, 1,200 gold used for 60 attack speed, and you get less attack speed for a Hyperstone. That's 2,000 gold.
So it's kind of like the same reason we're seeing Crystallis everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just for the gold that it costs, it's just too efficient.
It's too efficient,
item,
exactly. So. Especially when you're playing a hero such as Void that really benefits from that attack speed. The more times he hits you, the more chances he's going to proc that bash. Pretty good.
Just as long as you don't over-invest into them.
Yeah.
I remember watching a game where Jackie Mao had, I think, 3 gloves.
I was casting that. He won the game, though. He won it.
He did win the game, but I'm not sure if it was really him. Felt like that game was over by the time he actually got his Radiance and such.
He likes to overdo it, do things, definitely.
Push things to their limit. All right, well, Diffusal Blade on both the cores, both safe laners are ready to fight. The difference is Bait, they have a Viper mid, whereas Gambit have a Medusa. So this slower pace is better for them, and it's still Gambit who are the ones trying to make some moves. Now, this move actually fails as the Shadow Realm goes off fast enough, but it'll fade eventually, and this hasted up Excess Vampire will be able to bring down King R. Probably going to lose his life for it. His time dilation is going to slow him down to a crawl. A successful duel, the first one of the game, I believe, for Ghostic.
Yeah, because they don't manage to use that combo properly on Tiny instantly with the A ulti. They lose to heroes.
Coming in. They do have a Faceless Void who might be able to get here, so they've got to back off. Can't commit for that kill.
One big flaw of Bait's draft that I really see is synergy between these heroes. It's just not there. If you look at Gambit, any single pair of these heroes can work together to find a kill. Your AA Clock, AA Tiny, your AA plus Diffusal on Ricky, you can find stuff, you can make plays. On the side of Bait, Dark Willow brings you the damage, but what brings you the control? The Legion, it's not good enough. I guess you have Void plus Viper and Snapfire's ulti, but so far it's been not utilized at all.
Yeah. It seems like outside of draft, they're also oftentimes being outplayed in movement, right? It really seems like FNG has a strong read of where Bait is at all times, and he's kind of placing himself as the potential fodder. Oh, the Cookie actually stunning Excess Vampire right as he blinked in. What a disaster. He thought he was going to be able to get a toss backwards. Instead, he dies for free. No cost to Bait, and now they can maybe push into mid. After all, they still have the Chronosphere. Ghostic being gone on, but a Force Staff gets him out of smokescreen. Hookshot on him as well. Now Cogs push as well. Terrorize does manage to land onto the Riki, but it's going to be Ghostic potentially dying here. In fact, he does. A little bit too much damage. Dodge that with TP out. Actually does survive. And
Void.
Maybe FNG. The Void actually shows up, and immediately he's inside the smokescreen. They do have a Cookie to be able to get him out of that one. Pio, I think he was looking for it. Now he does manage to get the Chronosphere, catching that Riki, as well as setting up for a lot of damage on the Medusa. FN trying to get off his ultimate. Pio, he's committed too much, though. It's going to get chain stunned down by the Tiny. They do manage to kill the Medusa, yes, but it felt like Pio wasn't really needed to be that far forward after the Chrono expired.
He came a little bit too late to the party, but he used that Chrono really well. Caught 2 crores off Gambit, Medusa and Ricky both fall, and now Vampire. He does have a ulti behind him right now, so if he finds a pick-off, he will be able to take it down. Ghostic is a hard nut to crack. Maybe
King R, he's going to be a lot easier. In fact, he doesn't even need the AA Blast.
It is flying over, though. You can see that FNG did send it, but it won't matter.
They spotted Vampire. LeBron jumps up into the high ground. Excess Vampire knew that was coming, so he doubles back.
Juked. Tips as
Juked
well.
and tipped. That's what I like to see.
His build is also really peculiar on the Tiny. He goes Blink Dagger, which is obviously very standard, but instantly into an E-Blade. Obviously, you're playing versus Legion, versus Void. Most of their damage is also physical in that Chrono, besides the Snapfire, right? So, pretty good.
Defensive E-Blade.
All right, he changes it. Maybe
I could see it being really valuable. Maybe later on to the game still.
Maybe it's a bit too expensive early on.
Yeah. I mean, spending upwards over 4K gold to be able to give somebody ethereal form temporarily is a bit much. So Force Staff might be a bit more manageable for Excess Vampire. I'm still concerned that Bait haven't, like... maybe I shouldn't be. They do have this really sick team fight combination going into the late game. I'm just a bit concerned that they're not picking up the pace a little bit more.
Whenever you see a Medusa being played into by a team that's passive, you have to be concerned.
Yeah. Dendi, not going to be hit by the Ice Blast. They have so many ways to be able to counteract both Cogs and Smokescreen with multiple Force Staffs as well as Smokescreen. Or, excuse me, Cookie.
One hero that really surprised us in that last game with the damage he was dishing out was Dragonite. Dendi played it.
Yeah.
And this game around as well, Viper is very static, is super slimy, not really flashy kind of a hero that just irritates you in the laning stage, but later on in the game can be quite fearsome too when it comes to the damage department.
Yeah, he does scale pretty well into late game. Doesn't he have a damage talent at 20?
What matters is he has Nether
90
Toxin.
damage.
And Nether Toxin silences talent as well is pretty damn sick. I think one of the best talent trees in the game, this Viper, if you manage to get to all the levels.
Yeah. Smoke up from B8. They're going to try and push down into... They're going to go triangle or they're going to go to bottom? They're going to go and get some vision on the mid. Gambit actually pushed down from the triangle where they were sitting on the high ground. Excess Vampire breaks the smoke and blinks away, throws an avalanche to cover their tracks as they do successfully retreat onto that high ground and somewhere that Bait know they cannot pursue into, especially against a Medusa.
Yeah, if you look at the way they itemized as well on the side of Bait, you don't have a Blink Dagger on Legion Commander. He went for that pipe build. Because of that, they don't really have any form of initiation besides that Void. And when you see Clock and Tiny, you're tempted to use your Chrono, but you don't really want to. You aren't killing them.
Shroud's low. 3 bracers, Hooded Defiance, and an Essence Ring. Before he goes into a fight, if he pops that Essence Ring, he is extremely tanky. Makes for a very good target, but first he needs to actually hit the hook shot and misses it here.
It happens. Not really the hardest kill shot to land.
Oh, Dendy pushing forward with no team behind him. He does have a Force Staff, though. Now the cookie is close enough, but Excess Vampire's going to stay on top of him. Eulscepter actually stopping the toss away. Dendy sticks around, knowing that Excess Vampire is a little bit too far forward. Now they catch him, and Pio looking for more. Time walks forward, Chronosphere out, but the Stone Gate's already gone off, so Pio can't really do a whole lot. There is going to be that damage coming out from Granny, but now he's stuck inside the smoke screen. He activates his BKB, Time walks, but Dream still managed to get the kill. B8 have to now back off without their big damage dealer. They threw everything they had to be able to do half damage to a Medusa. Dream now activating his BKB. He's going to be dueled up, but the BKB being activated by Riki means that he's not that squishy. Ghostic has to run away as the duel fades. A stun onto Shotzlow. A cookie gets him out of that net. Ghostic's going to be okay, but Gambit certainly happy with that fight. A Chronosphere expended, and you could say that Gambit won the fight.
They did. They lost 2 supports, but they won the fight. They killed the... Yeah, the deny on the tower was good, but they killed the Void, they forced his BKB, they wasted his Chrono. He did have an Arcane Rune still active, I believe, when he used it, so the cooldown will be a little bit shorter, but overall they just got outplayed. I think the whole side of Bait tunnel visioned a little bit. It shouldn't be happening, and this is a high-level tournament. You're playing for a lot of money. You shouldn't be tunnel visioning like that. If your Viper is about to survive, you should be already catching different targets.
Trying to jump forward. They do have the tiny combination with that AA blast to be able to finish off the Viper. And now the clumsy nut being popped by Dream to slow down Ghostic's retreat as well. LeBron's here, though, with his EP coming in from the Dark Willow. He immediately drops an Observer Ward to see if he can grab somebody who's too close to the Tier 2. Sadly, that's not the case because Gambit, they always seem a bit more disciplined. They chase and they actually connect with these kills and don't overextend, whereas we saw from that last one, Bait, they overextended on Pio, paid the ultimate price, and now they're going to have to buy back on Dendy to try and defend this Roshan attempt. Gambit, push onto the high ground. Pio, charging forward, activates his BKB, is going to be hookshotted up, taking so much damage, and Terrorize not going to be able to save him. He takes way too much from Ariki. Dream is a beast right now. Popping heroes left and right, nice. Excess Vampire, force-staffing through, managed to get the toss back onto Ghostic. Dream, he's going to be able to jump into the high ground as he retreats. Still a little bit cautious here. Doesn't want to feed into the Viper too much. There's also a buyback available for Pio.
I think this is a team call right now, not to buy back the Void at least. I guess they're gonna just accept that Roshan is dead and try to play against that Aegis because there is solid reasoning behind it. You buy back the Void, you might win the fight, you might not, but you are putting yourself so far behind the Medusa and the Riki that you most likely will never recover it again.
Yeah. It's a little bit of sunk cost fallacy, right? Where it's like, well, we've already invested 2 buybacks. We have to defend this Roshan. Well, that's a fast way to throw the game. And so, Bait, they take their losses, they lick their wounds, retreat to their side of the map, and continue to farm. But FN is still the biggest beast in the game. He's got 17,000 net worth, and this is what we were talking about, being concerned with one side having a Medusa and the other side playing just a bit too slow or failing to connect when they do play aggressively.
Yeah, they just have to start using their items and their spells. That's pretty much what it is.
Just click the buttons.
Click the buttons. Like, you jump in, but you don't use anything. You just die.
King R shows up, but superior vision from Gambit in a lot of these areas they're playing, like there, where they spot the Dark Willow and get a kill for free. And that kill for free probably leads to enough confidence that they can push the mid-tier 2.
I love that you just mentioned superior vision, and that's because of the way FNG has been playing for the whole tournament. This guy just doesn't care if he's Furion, if he's AA. He moves super deep behind enemy lines, plants these good wards, and then it's easier to play when you see them coming.
XS Vampire, they have a high ground ward here. So while FN can be left alone because he's got an Aegis and he's a Medusa, the top lane is pushing in, and they were hoping somebody from Bait would show themselves at top and get picked off, and then that would lead into an easy high ground push. But sadly for them, Bait is actually not inside their base at all.
Yeah, but this still looks easy, right? You have Medusa pushing in, you just need to stand around her, and that's it. She has that Aegis to work with. Repositioning tools from Bait are very low and lacking, so FN should be able to take down this tower. Just stand here and hit it. This is the worst. Man, this feels so bad if you're Dire.
And Bait, like, we've seen them in this situation before. I feel like you just gotta force down to the, or try and smoke around. Ghosting tries to get an initiation onto the Tiny. They still manage to kill him with the Chronosphere onto the Riki as well. They're gonna throw out the Terrorize just to make sure his chain stun wasn't needed, but still wins the fight. Pio hoping to be able to find somebody. Nice, clever hook shot from Shotchlo onto neutral.
All right, Vampire, all right. We've been praising you for the whole tournament. You're great, you're awesome, but hold your horses. He blinks in, he fails his initial attempt to throw someone out of their base, and then he forces Legion into himself to try and toss her away. And it looked cute, but he tosses a creep instead and gets him and the Riki kill. So, I mean, I respect the attempt. It was really good, but it didn't work.
Shadow Realm. Cold Feet is going to be able to stun him, so that teleport away was never going to work, and now he's just going to die. Self-fuels to buy himself time, but he's a goner. It just was so unnecessary. Remember you were saying, like, well, just have the Medusa hit the tier 3, force Bait to come into you. Like, you didn't have to do anything as Gambit.
They didn't, but that is the usual plan when you're standing behind Medusa, especially when you have this combo, Tiny plus a hero that's a fortress, a hero that's just a tower standing in front and taking Raxes. Tiny's job is to play out of vision behind those trees on the low ground and pounce when anyone approaches the Medusa. That's usually how you break high ground. You can't expect to just stand and hit and take it down, but when you're this far ahead, you might expect just that.
Yeah. As you can see, FN still working with his first life here, and that melee barracks down to half. Once again, XS Vampire tries that same initiation, fails it on Tendi, who gets a defensive force staff off. He's poking an FN. Now it's going to be Dream's turn to initiate. The cookie comes down, immediately a hook shot to follow it up, but a Yule Scepter goes down before he can get the cogs. Now he cogs and force staffs through, but Shotshow's kind of stuck here, especially with LeBron raining down the artillery to be able to catch more Gambit heroes. They get the duel in as well. Grouping up, but that's going to be fine. They commit their BKB to make sure they kill XS Vampire. Time dilation, slowing down FN, but they have to be careful fighting into that Medusa, especially with the space that's created to allow Dream to pounce just like that. A couple of hits brought Ghostic quite low, so.
They got 2 good kills there. They still do lose the Raxes. Aegis is yet to be reclaimed, so there's a little bit more time for FN to play around it. I think if you're Gambit, you're fine with that, but if you're Bait, you just notice that you can actually take these fights. You have the damage necessary. You just have to bait them out of position somehow, to use your ultimate when Medusa isn't there to just destroy everything with her ulti.
Dendi, once again, stuck in that awkward mid-game point where they aren't winning fights anymore, and he's just been looking at the same items for the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, that buyback as well really did hurt him. I love his neutral item, though, does work really well with Viper. His build as well is pretty decent. The Mjolnir and the Force Staff, he recognized that he's going to be lacking damage, and he itemized properly to help with that. But so far, execution is the problem for Bait.
Yep.
It's not getting easier.
No, it's certainly not, especially as the Riki gets scarier and scarier. Now has a Basher. Who's already doing so much damage, has his level 20 Talon as well.
He's going to have that lockdown on the Void as well, even with the BKB. Right, Pio really loves that MKB. But in this particular game, he definitely needed it. There's
Yeah.
a butterfly on that Medusa since minute 20.
Yeah, and he's got the 20% evasion talent at 10 or something like that. It's such a mega value. 10 talent. Dendy going to be tossed back with cold feet on him as well. Force staff a little bit farther away with the cookie helping him out. But again, Dream with that basher, it makes a world of difference. He can always pursue. That's Dendy with a dieback, by the way. Dead for 100 seconds. And 2 members of Bait also gone. LeBron and Ghostic, they're both going to have to buy back here if they hope to be able to defend the 2 lanes of barracks, because FN, well, he already broke the melee in mid, so he might as well just go straight for top.
Yeah, you can see his build as well. The script is literally saying, I want to end this game right now, boys, let's go. By the way, Ricky, what was his level 20 talent? What did he take in the end? He took the cast range, all right, yeah. Usually what you go for.
Terrorize. First out on FN. It's going to push him into a weird position where he runs through the mid lane, but Bait can't really go for him. They certainly can't commit Chronosphere or anything to him, but if they don't do anything,
they're just going to lose the Raxes.
I never see them in these situations. They always try to defend from inside their base, and they never try and go for like the smoke around. And as a result, plenty of opportunities for Access Vampire to get tosses back like he does on a King R. King R, fortunately, is able to get away from that Riki. Blink away from the Riki as well, gets him out of danger underneath the tier 4s, and FN's just going to keep it going.
There's a tier 1 and a tier 2 on the bottom lane, so they're like, that looks like a lot of effort. I don't want to go all the way down.
Well, Dendy does have a buyback now. He actually has enough gold, so he's finally able to do so. Shotlo goes in the back line. They've gone for all their damage on the Medusa, and they're rewarded with the kill. They're going to be able to get Access Vampire on top of that. Dream, meanwhile, tried to go for the supports, but actually got kited well enough. They're not able to get that kill. And the front lines, though, it's Pio with the successful duel, helping out Ghostic, getting the kill on Ancient Apparition. 3 dead on the side of Gambit, and Bait didn't lose anything for it. All they had to do was buy back on Dendy.
Massive, massive team fight for Bait there. They did lose 2 sides, not like nothing, right? Viper also had to buy back Dendy, so they lost a lot of gold. The question now is, what can you do with this advantage? A team such as Secret, if you remember when they played versus Bait, all they needed was one fight like this one, and they turned the game. Can Bait do the same? Now they're going into the pit, they're super lucky, Roche is already up, but buybacks are coming.
You know, it feels very similar to how last game ended, where Bait, in their darkest hour, have this glimmer of hope where they're able to go to Roshan, force buybacks out of Gambit. If they win this fight, then all of a sudden the game can be won, and they're going to open with a kill on a Dream. This is massive. He's dead for 80 seconds. They may just be able to force a buyback out of him. In fact, he does.
Exactly what they needed. Now you have a win probability. Now if you kill that Ricky, if you take him down, perhaps you can even take the game. They needed this. They needed one mistake from Gambit, and they got it.
Now, last time, maybe some of their mistake was continuing to force it immediately in that Roshan pit. Gambit showed up to that fight and won it and just ended the game. This time around, Bait is going to play a little bit smoother and calmer. They're going to say, okay, we managed to force that buyback. That's great. Taking Roshan against the Clockwork is very difficult.
Smart decision.
Let's not force it.
Especially when you don't have the chrono as well, right? Some of your ultimates are still on cooldown. You don't have the duels, so they're just chilling. The only problem is usually when I see Bait chill, they get picked off somehow and they just die one by one.
And it's also Gambit. They're able to easily commit to Roshan here with FN without too much risk. They have a Medusa inside the pit. And Bait, all they want to do right now is just kind of poke and try and slow down this Roshan until that Chronosphere is up. But I have a feeling Gambit's not going to give them enough time.
It's too fast. Perhaps they can think about stealing it.
They're going to jump inside now. Pio committing his BKB, but not able to do a whole lot. Immediately has to jump away, gets bashed immediately. Fortunately, a force staff on a time walk gets him up to the high ground, but a BKB being committed. FN just to be able to finish this up. They do have Ghostic committing to go for the Ancient Apparition kill with the smoke screen coming out. The Terrorize not going to be able to save him. Ancient Apparition lives. They get the Roshan, they get the Aegis for FN, and all they may lose for it, well, not even that. Pio actually has to time walk away before he can finish off that kill on a shot slow. May take out the poison. Nice toss back there from Excess Vampire, getting the kill onto LeBron, but there's the Chronosphere finally up. Gonna go for the kill on Dream. That's gonna be a dieback for him. The Aegis is on the Medusa, so they're just gonna ignore this Medusa and go for everybody else. FN, standing on the front lines, is gonna be able to create some space, but they have to go back to their base. It's in trouble. The Ancient is at half health right now just due to the creeps. Bait can't push this fight any longer.
Man, the crowd loves this game, and I completely agree with them because this is what we needed. We needed some stress. We needed this.
Enough sustain. He had to back away from creeps, man.
Yeah,
Feels bad.
It's still a very difficult game for them. Oh, he knows. He knows. He's hiding. He's hiding. He's solving up. He understands. Yeah, their throne is super low. Medusa has that Aegis. I believe it was the Aghanim's Rush as well. I wonder who got that. It was Aegis Cheese. Dream is dead, so most likely they will just chill for now. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe
it was
just Cheese, right?
Yeah, I think it was just cheese.
All right. Yeah, in any case, they're going to chill out, wait for that Ricky, but Bait, they have 15 seconds from that Legion Commander, and they have to make a move. They can't hide in their base.
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
MKB being picked up by Dendy, so now they've got another hero that can put some reliable damage into that Medusa. Also ignoring like the smokescreen mischance as well. But as you said, they kind of need to take advantage of this timer, but instead it looks like they're hitting some neutrals. It's not even 40 minutes yet, so they don't even have like a fresh round of neutral items or anything.
Just chilling, you know, your throne has 40%, so you're not in a rush.
Well, maybe they can rely on Gambit. See, if I'm Gambit, right, I'm not going to do anything, right? I'm just going to chill out until my buybacks are up, honestly.
Yeah, that's usually what you do. The only thing is, by the time your buyback is up on Ricky, your Aegis will be gone on Medusa, so it might be a little bit smarter to just go right now and end the game.
He's got Daedalus, and they could just like push through mid and commit to hitting the Ancient. They do have a glyph on the side of Bait. That is very important right now. It means they don't have to push outside of their base to be able to take the fight.
You just have to look at Pio and his cooldown on the Chronosphere. That's all.
Oh, that Daedalus doing so much damage. Fortunately, he was able to get away from the avalanche. That could have been a bit scary.
Oh.
Jump forward. Oh, no, he actually got hookshot and right as he went for the kill into FN. He is going to be able to buy back. Meanwhile, they do have a duel onto XS Vampire. Doesn't last for long, though, and it's actually Ghostic who may end up dying. They've already killed the Medusa once, though, thanks in part to that damage from the Snapfire, and Dendy's MKB putting in some serious overtime here. Now they've got the Chronosphere onto both the Ancient Apparition and the Medusa. Can they bring down this Medusa? No, they can't, because Viper just got assassinated by Ariki, and Pio left with no backline to be able to help him out with that Chronosphere, and that's just going to be it. Much like to game one. Gambit will close it out, maybe with no buybacks on their side, but they win the last fight. That matters.
And Bait, they put up a fight. Yeah. That's all I can say. I think they did all right. Their lineup, their draft just looked a little bit shabby. They had problems moving off of that